This is the Weeb Lounge, and if you ever wanted to get just completely annoyed, pissed off, frustrated at a main protagonist in an anime, watch a harem anime. Hey everyone, I'm Nick, and this is going to be our top 5 list for our favorite picks for harem anime. And like I mentioned in really quickly, these things frustrate the hell out of me. Okay, you have a guy surrounded by beautiful women, and the best thing he can do is act clumsy, slip and fall into a taco. Okay, this is it's like the best skill that these characters have. They can't pick one, they're indecisive, it's kind of mean to the rest of the female cast. It's one of the most frustrating shows that you can watch. They can be funny, they can be hilarious, they can be entertaining as all hell, but the level of frustration when you're looking at the guy who's being just goaded after what he dumb. It's slip it. Anyway, okay. I get mad just thinking about it because if these situations don't realistically happen, but if it did, yay! I'm not going to trip and fall and. Okay, you guys know the tropes. Okay, this is the Weeb Lounge. You guys know the tropes of these harem anime. I'm just going to go on to our number 5 pick. All right, number 5 on our list is Monster Musume, Daily Life with Monster Girls. This one is a little bit different from your typical harem anime because they're monster girls. It ends up creating more and more situations that just aren't obviously realistic. Not that harem anime is realistic to begin with, not in my case anyways. The monsters end up causing a lot of havoc, and the premise of the show is, monsters always existed, right? They always existed. They're hiding from society. They don't want to be persecuted, blah, blah, blah. And eventually they decided to come out of the shadows, but they need to do so gradually because, if all these monsters just all of a sudden invade the human world, everything go all to hell, right? Because, yeah, there's demons. There's demons, snakes, spiders, mermaids, vampires, dragons, any kind of monster you can think of, it actually exists in this anime. And the idea for them to kind of get incorporated is like a homestay program, right? So you bring one of the monsters out, you put them with a normal human household, and let them grow and live and incorporate themselves into human society as a normal person, right? And that's going to go over well, especially in a harem anime. First up in Monster Musume is Mia. Mia is the main female protagonist. She's a lamia, which means, the top half of her is human, the bottom half of her is a really long snake. One that's like a python, capable of just crushing the life out of any human that she wants to. And anytime that she gets excited, yeah, she'll crush things. And of course, she is staying with Kimihito, and this is our main male protagonist for the harem itself. He's really not any kind of special guy or whatever. The only thing is he likes to treat the monster girls as regular girls, and that's kind of his appeal, at least for the girls themselves. And other than that, he's very tolerant, I guess, of the differences between all these monsters, and doesn't really mind getting the utter crap kicked out of him all the time. He's living with monsters that, yeah, he'll be dead soon. He'll be dead soon. Yeah. All right. Well, first off, you had Mia. She's a lamia, and she's probably the cutest of all the characters, or at least seemingly kind of the most innocent, right? And then later on, they incorporate other monsters as the anime goes along. You have Poppy the Hoppy. She's a harpy, basically human frame, but has arms and legs of a bird. She's an energetic girl, likes to have fun, and that's pretty much her personality, other than that she's a complete bird brain in a kind of literal sense. her major weakness is that, you could tell her, you'd be like, hey, here's a list to go shopping, go shopping for us, and you count to three, she forgets what she was doing, you turn your head and she's playing Nintendo Wii. Okay. uh, Completely absent-minded, can't remember a thing, but overall this character is pretty cute, and if she really has to, she can memorize things. It's not like a crippling disease or nothing. But the third one is Centaura. Centauria, I think it's Centauria. It's a centaur. Warrior race centaur. Okay, she has this pride of a warrior, samurai-ish, I guess, honor, etc., etc. Really, really big, busty horse. It's one of my friend's favorites, and I always kind of wonder. She's passive aggressive, and then just plain aggressive. Her character is a little hard to understand. You have to kind of watch the anime for that. It's like an honor kind of thing, and being part horse, one of her quirks is kind of like, nobody rides her, right? I don't mean ride her. I mean just like a horse, right? Not if you're. It's not furry crap, okay? No. Basically, you have to be somebody that she really cares about or loves in order to be able to ride on her back as transport, not any other way. Those are your three main characters. Then you also have Meru the Mermaid. You have the Zomb Cores, something like that. The Mon Cores. And one of the members of the Mon Corps, it's kind of like they go around fighting bad monsters to fight and subdue and stuff. Our favorite character is actually part of this group. It's Zombina. And the reason she's our favorite is just because, I don't know, she just kind of has this playful attitude. There's one time where her and Kimihito go out on a, quote unquote date or whatever. It's for some reason they're trying to stalk something out or whatever for one of their missions. I can't remember. But they go out, they sit next to her, and she kind of catches him glancing a little bit at her. And she's a Zombina. She's a zombie, right? But she's not full zombie. She did something to stop the progression of it. So she's like immortal, has the powers a zombie kind of would have, but still human, more or less. But anyways, he's eyeing her a little bit, and it is probably one of the funniest bits in an anime I've seen in a long time. She's able to take off like limbs. She can just pop her arm off and be like, oh yeah, just right back on, right? Well, she decides to, reach into her chest and dislodge a boob. Just boop. Falls through her shirt, right laying on the chair or whatever right next to her. And Kimihito, he goes, oh, hey, you dropped something. Boom! That's one you have to see. That was probably the funniest moment in that whole anime. But why is it that we always like characters that aren't like part of the main cast? Like in this typical harem anime, Zombina has no chance, right? She's not really part of it. It's going to be Mia basically, but yeah, we always kind of root for the underdog. We like to do that. But you also have other monsters. The creepiest one is the big spider girl, Rockday. And it's a spider. It's a really, really big spider, Black Widow spider. They basically use the human fear of spiders against us, right? To try to make her it's like, oh no, not her. And it turns out it's just kind of like a misunderstood person or whatever, right? So, overall, this series, it's really entertaining. It has a lot of unique situations, plenty of vacuum material, and it's different than the others because monsters. But yeah. All right, we need to leave the monsters behind, and we need to go over to mechas for our number 4. Our number 4 pick is Infinite Stratos. In this one, we have the main protagonist, Ichika, and he is sent to an all-girls school. Harem anime, right? Well, the reason he goes to this all-girls school is because these mechas that are involved can only be really controlled by females. And for some reason, this guy is able to control them. So he ends up being the only guy in an all-girls school, of course. Figure you gotta have a plot for something, right? Well, he goes to school, and a couple other characters, including a few of his childhood friends, are there. First off, you have Hoki. She is a long-haired ponytail girl, hasn't seen him for years, and has kind of always been in love with the guy. But she's that typical character that like can't bring herself to admit whatever or advance the relationship or whatever the heck it is. And of course, the guy's clueless. He ain't got a clue about this. I mean, the signs are obvious, but he ain't got a damn clue, right? He's just whatever. And then you have Cecilia. She's the rich girl, kind of. Most of the rich girl tropes, they have like the curly hair and they always holier than thou kind of attitude and everything. Most of them, I really just don't like those kinds of characters. But this one is a little bit more sensible. She's a little bit more realistic, I guess. But she's definitely not one of the main contenders of this. I have to say that right off the way. She's over here. Okay, sorry, you're not going to be part of this. Then you have Ling Yin, and she's another childhood friend of Ichika. And apparently, she's a shorter girl, kind of lolly stature, I guess. And it comes back to the promise trope, the harem promise trope or whatever. And of course, he forgets what this promise is. And basically, the promise is, he said that he would be her boyfriend if she learned how to cook good. Okay, well, she ends up running a Chinese restaurant, learning how to cook really, really good, and now gets mad at him because he don't remember. That's the premise of their relationship, anyways. Then you have Charles. Yes, I said Charles. Another guy that magically shows up into this all-girls school. It's the second guy that can control these robots and such, right? It's not a guy. Nope. Charles turns out to be Charlotte. She was sent there as a spy to figure out how Ichika, the only guy there, is the only guy there. And because he, whatever quote is the only other guy, they end up putting Charles with Ichika, roommates, etc. So you can kind of figure out the antics that are going on there. And of course, main protagonist, clueless as usual, thinks it's another guy, and they'll be in the locker room talking. They'll be in their room because they're sharing a room. They'll be in there talking and everything. And of course, it doesn't take long for the truth to come out. It should have been obvious from the start. I mean, anyone that watches the show is going to see that and be like, "Yep, girl, not a guy." But well, actually, it's anime, so sometimes you just don't know. Is what it is. We know. But it turns out that Charlotte. Charlotte is actually kind of the most normal girl out of all of them. Sensible, common sense, not all over the place, acts shy in times. Overall, Charlotte is actually probably the number one character, at least in our book, and the most sensible character of all of them. It is what it is. And then you have Laura, a German genetic super soldier. All right, sounds great, but this small statured girl, she gets most of her information and advice from manga. She's actually probably our favorite character of the series because sadly she doesn't show up all that much, but she's dumb, not dumb, ignorant. She's using manga to try to learn how to fit into society. It's not going to pan out well. But in terms of being an interesting character and a funny character, she's our favorite in this case. She's just, it's manga. And she's supported in doing this. They're like, yeah, you learned something. Yay. No, you didn't. No. But, all right, the general premise of this was supposed to be a mecha anime, right? It's a harem anime, but it's also a mecha anime. Well, the mechas, they kind of take a back seat to everything, right? It's kind of a foil for all the characters to develop off of. It's not a main thing of the anime itself, if that kind of makes sense. You watch it, you kind of understand that, the whole mecha thing is just to bring the characters together, to advance the characters themselves, rather than whatever goal these mechas are fighting for, like tournaments and stuff, right? It is what it is, you know, but I have to give it props for doing that because it's a harem anime. It's meant to be a harem comedy. We're not trying to do, this isn't Gundam, right? It's, no. So, good choice. Develop the characters, harem, yay. All right. Now, you had monsters, you had mechas. I guess we move on to magical girls. Okay. All right, the number 3 pick is it a zombie? Kore wa zombie desu ka? I kind of call it a magical girl anime because all the girls can use magic, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm going with it. The main protagonist guy in this case, Ayumu. Basically, he's killed by a serial killer. Then a necromancer happens to be walking by. It's like, oh, I'm going to bring that guy back to life. Brings him back to life. Now he's a zombie. But he's not really a zombie. Like, his powers are like super strength, super speed, and no zombie characteristics other than immortal, I guess. Yeah, not really a zombie, but it's a zombie. Is it? Well, maybe that's the premise of the show. Is it a zombie? Not really. But yeah, that's the main protagonist. He's a zombie now. Doesn't like sun. That's a weakness. He doesn't like the sun. But yeah, other than that, wait, that should be a vampire thing, shouldn't it? Yeah, whatever. Anyways, the necromancer responsible for bringing him back is Euclid Hellscythe, or just Yu. Yu is kind of portrayed as a really powerful being, like godlike, pretty much. She wears armor that suppresses her abilities, and she doesn't talk because just uttering a couple of words could destroy the world. And then not the optimal girlfriend, I guess, because a couple of words can destroy our worlds, right? Oh god, that was depressing. Anyway, she doesn't talk. She doesn't really show emotions or anything. Ayumu kind of has these weird fantasies about her, like her being like the little sister, cute character, and they're kind of funny, but you can tell that they really annoy you a lot. So that's one of those things that you have to see or whatever. They're kind of funny, but it kind of runs dry after a little while. Our favorite character, though, Haruna, is the actual portrayed magical girl. A magical girl with a pink chainsaw called Mistletoe. Her move is a kick, the Mistletoe kick or whatever. It's not a kick, it's a chainsaw to the face, but she calls it a kick. This girl is supposed to be like incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart. It's not a kick. Chainsaw to face. Not whatever. But somehow Ayumu absorbs Haruna's magical girl powers, which leads to him having to do a lot of these fights, where the magical girl powers and the chainsaw in combination with his own abilities as a zombie. Yeah, when he transforms, he's wearing the magical girl costume. Yeah. That's a thing in this anime. Cross-dressing, I guess. And then, yeah, of course, there's more girls or whatever. You have Seraphim. Seraphim is a vampire ninja. That's about it. This character is kind of tsundere, I guess. Does like Ayumu, but always hates on him, etc. And she's kind of there to be used bodyguard, but ends up becoming his bodyguard for... Yeah, that character, I never liked that character. It's just whatever. And then you have another vampire ninja, Maelstrom. Maelstrom. It's not even a play on words. It's actually written that way, just with a space. Maelstrom. Yeah. This character is a little more interesting, though. She's a vampire ninja, but she's a little more bubbly, a little more cutesy, I guess. And during the course of, typical anime antics and such, Haruna bumps into her. She ends up planning a kiss on Ayumu, and by her clan's ninja tradition, that means they're married. If only it was that easy, guys. If only it was that easy. Yeah. Anyway, she tries to become all wifely and such after that. In this one, Haruna might be our favorite character, but I can't say that we actually have like a pick. It's one of those things. Haruna is just the most interesting and kind of funniest situations and such. But overall, this one it's hilarious. I mean, you get the cross-dressing zombie guy fighting with a chainsaw. I mean, come on, just go watch it. That was our number three. Had to go with that one. All right, but anyways, we had monsters, we had mechas, we had magical girls. I guess we're going on to spirits, supernatural. Our number 2 pick has spirits all over the place, so many of which can't really talk about them all, not without dedicating an entire series. But this one is Date Alive. And the premise is basically Shido, he, typical anime trope, lost his memories from when he was a kid, right? Doesn't have many left. And for some reason, he's the only one who can seal these spirits' powers away with a kiss. And in order to do that, he has to date them. Kind of basically date to stay alive, date alive. That's the premise of it, right? Now, it sounds kind of goofy, but the characters themselves and the way that they're brought into this little universe is pretty unique. First up, you have Toka, and she's the purple-haired girl, big sword, and she kind of is really cold-hearted, right? She shows up, and all humans are mean, cold-hearted, blah, blah, blah. He ends up basically subduing her, sealing her powers away, and she ends up becoming this, cheerful girl who's in love with Shido, of course. Another character you have is Shido's sister. Little sister trope, I know. Kotori is kind of like the fierce commander and trying to fight all these spirits and such. She flies around in a ship and basically guides Shido through making choices and his dates by using visual novel techniques. Yeah. It works, I guess. But what Shido didn't know, and what she tries to keep secret, is that Kotori is also a spirit. She is under control for the most part, but if she ever goes into spirit form for too long, things are going to go bad. So she tries not to do that. You also have Origami Tobichi, and her personality is kind of beachy, right? At least at first. She's just no emotions showed, really like a Rei Ayanami from Evangelion, that kind of persona where she's just flat. But when she starts lightening up her personality a bit towards Shido and showing him affection, she still has the blank kind of expressionless face, but she starts doing all these weird perverted things and has a really odd sense of humor. We like this character. Even into like just really weird, awful stuff that most girls, I guess, wouldn't be interested in. It's just a cool character. And there's so many more to talk about, but the only other one we're going to mention is Kurumi. Kurumi is our favorite, but she's also like this incredibly evil, sadistic, kind of twisted judgment individual. She has the power over time, like all of time, right? And you kind of wonder why she just doesn't reverse time or do something, whatever, to kind of fix some situations. She comes across some kids that are torturing a cat, right? And they end up killing the cat or something. Really horrible, right? Well, instead of like kind of reversing time or doing whatever to save the cat, she just kills all the kids. Revenge. Cat's been avenged. Yeah, she can be evil incarnate, but she's also probably one of the most intelligent characters in the whole show, and what a lot of people don't realize is she's also the most powerful of all of them. Think of it this way. She has command over time, and she also has copies of herself in every single timeline possible, which means she has an infinite number of copies of herself that can be pulled into that world, so that basically if somebody kills her, there's another copy of her just boop there, good to go. Not even skip a beat. So you can't kill her off. There's infinite copies of her. You cannot kill her. And her manipulation of time and even ability later on in the story to send people back in time, especially Origami, as part of a bigger storyline, she becomes, kind of like the linchpin that's going to really hold the series together, really. There's so many other characters to mention. I'm not going to go into them all, but the overall premise of this is guy dates girl, so girl don't kill. That's the gist of it. It's date girl, she better. Don't date girl, she kill people. It's a harem anime. I mean, what do you expect? So you have all these different kinds of harem anime. We had monsters, mechas, magical girls, spirits, and so what do we give the number one slot to? Well, we have to give it to the one that kind of started the whole damn thing, right? We have to give it to the anime that set the precedence and lit everything else on fire. So that would be our number one, Tenchi Muyo. Tenchi Muyo is my personal favorite anime of all time. This is because back when I first started watching anime, this is one of the original shows that I watched, and it happens to have my favorite character of all time, Ryoko, in it. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it is actually the anime that started the whole harem genre. Tenchi Muyo Ryo-Oki, we're talking about the OVAs, not the Tenchi Universe TV series, not Shin Tenchi Muyo or Tenchi in Tokyo. Tenchi in Tokyo shouldn't exist, put it that way. And even the 3 movies are not canon. It's only the OVAs that are canon, along with, I think, GXP and War on Geminar. But the Tenchi Muyo Ryo-Oki OVA series is canon. It's the one we're talking about. You have Aeka, the hoity-toity princess from Jirai, basically her little sister. She's kind of like the reliable little sister trope. It's one of the earlier ones that you see that follows that trope. You have Washu, genius, crazy genius scientist, can literally do anything because, well, you find out later she's a god. So Sasami, but a little different in that. And then you have my favorite character of all time, Space Pirate Ryoko. Basically, she's Washu's daughter, kinda. I actually plan to do a video on Tenchi Muyo itself later on. I'll go into the details later. But Tenchi Muyo started the whole modern thing. Before you had anime that you had a guy who was engaged to a girl or married or going out with somebody, and you would have other girls kind of like interrupting it, trying to poke their way in, that's a point of tension. But you never had one where the guy was undecided, I guess, and all these girls kind of come into his life. That's Tenchi Muyo. That's Tenchi Masaki, the main protagonist. The clumsy, stupid, doesn't know what he's doing, always getting into trouble character. That's where it started. That's Tenchi. Now later in the OVAs, Tenchi goes from being clumsy, unreliable, kind of whatever, very quickly into becoming a force of nature. The Tenchi universe doesn't get very much credit. It's you have the Star Wars universe, you have the Star Trek universe. There is the Tenchi actual universe. It's actually really interesting, but they haven't expanded on it very much. Tenchi Muyo gets credit because it's one of the first to really set that trope, and it came out in 1992. It's a fairly old series, and if it goes to show the power that this show actually carries, 2020 they're working on OVA 5, so there is more to come, and who knows how long it's going to keep coming out and keep coming out. This series is, yeah, it's one of our all-time favorites just because it's one of the earliest ones that we watched and such. But the characters are all their personalities are absolutely different. It sets a lot of the tropes. The little sister trope, the harem trope, Ryoko, the kind of like the tomboy type character and such. really emphasizes it. And it's also one of the anime that's kind of credited with all the crazy anime hair, right? Everything was kind of tame up until Tenchi Muyo. Tenchi Muyo comes out and the hair is like, Washu's is like the crab or whatever. Ryoko is like Sonic the Hedgehog or something. I think before Sonic the Hedgehog came out, she was the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, Ryoko. Why, I've never thought of that. Whatever. Um, so Tenchi Muyo deserves its number one because it has its staying power. It's the originator. It is very unique. The character is unique. The world is unique. Everything about this series, it can be a comedic harem anime. It set the tone, but at the same time, it can be serious. It can tell a good story. The background with what happened to Tenchi's mom, when he was really young. Ryoko being imprisoned inside of a cave, and it's a whole bunch of different things. And the goddesses, Tsunami, Washu, and Lady Tokimi, even they come into play. The three goddesses that created the whole universe, right? I mean, it expands way past a harem anime, but at its core, that's what it was, and that's how it started, and that's how it still is. And we get to keep seeing how this is going to evolve. Come 2020, OVA 5, we get to see more. And it started at 92. It's a great series. It's one of those anime. Tenchi Muyo is one of the anime that if you're a fan of anime, if you're in the Weeb Lounge and you've never seen this, you're doing it wrong. Okay? It's a staple. It's like Cowboy Bebop. It's like Evangelion. Tenchi Muyo is right in there in the mix of you. If you're an anime fan, you have to watch this series. And that's why Tenchi Muyo gets our number one. And with all that harem action, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button. We're going to be doing more and more and more videos, and it's going to be about anything we damn well want. So keep an eye on us. Visit us over on Twitch. Make some comments down below. Would you pick different harem anime? I'm sure you would. Everybody's got their favorite, but throw some more down there, and we'll see you in the next video.